посланник, уважаеми госпожи и господа министри, депутати, областни управители, ваши превъзходителства, госпожи и господа посланници, добре дошли! През тази година се навършват 110 години от установяване на дипломатически отношения между Съединените щати и България. Само преди седмица започна втория мандат на президента Обама. Последните 23 години са наистина най-наситения период на еволюция и разцвет в политическо, военно, икономическо и културно отношение на отношенията между Съединените щати и България. И Атлантическият клуб през тези 23 години беше една интелектуална лаборатория, оформяща често общественото мнение, а понякога и решенията на политиците. През последните 23 години Съединените щати и България бяха 5 пъти съюзници в 5 успешни операции: Кувейт 90-та, Косово 99-та, Афганистан, Ирак, Либия. Най-новият период в двустранните ни отношения мисля, че започна на 13 септември 2001 година, когато тогавашният министър-председател Симеон Сакскобургготски написа писмо до президента Буш, в което каза, че България, независимо, че не е поканена и не е член на НАТО, ще бъде... Това е Алан Леви, почетен консул на България в Лос-Анджелес, София Тишман Център, Airport Center, Мегатрон Джон Дир, Ифтах Шахам, Дънди Прешес Металс, Алекс Нестор, господин Владимир Пенков от Пенков и Марков, Виваком, Бика, Андрей Бачваров, Креди Агриколь, Лирекс Манолиев, CMS, Камерън Макена, колеги в Амчан, и Виза, и не на последно място, Security тук се предоставя от Delta Force, напоследък Security стана модна дума у нас, надявам се, че това няма да е задълго. С тези няколко думи искам да помоля да включим видеото, ако обичате.
Здравейте! Казвам се Марси Рийс. Аз съм новият посланик на САЩ в България. I'm here at one of my favorite places in Washington, D.C., the Lincoln Memorial. Abraham Lincoln was one of America's greatest presidents and an unwavering defender of human rights and democratic freedoms. These are values our two countries share. I have been honored over the last several years to lead 2 U.S. missions in the Balkans and to serve as the deputy negotiator of the Arms Control Treaty with Russia. As ambassador, I will be drawing on my previous experiences to introduce more Americans to the benefits of doing business in Bulgaria, to expand our security cooperation, and to support Bulgarian efforts to improve your own system of justice and to increase our knowledge of each other's cultures and histories. My family and I love to hike and sail. We take advantage of the opportunities around Washington, D.C. whenever we can. We're very much looking forward to exploring Bulgaria's mountains and seacoasts, to visiting your cities, and especially to learning more about Bulgarian art and music. Most of all, we're looking forward to meeting you, the people of Bulgaria. Do skoro.
Very warm welcome. So, distinguished guests, the Atlantic Club is a long-time and valuable partner of the United States Embassy excuse me, here in Bulgaria, and I am pleased to join the distinguished list of ambassadors who have spoken to your audiences. As many of you know, I arrived in Bulgaria at the end of September. I have spent the past 4 months meeting with Bulgaria's leaders, with representatives of the opposition, journalists, with artists, with students, and with representatives of on energy and education, on the arts, and archaeology, to name a few. Of Bulgarian building or artifact, and we're hoping to expand in other areas, sports for instance. So in September of this year, as Solomon mentioned, we will celebrate 110 years of bilateral diplomatic relations. This is over a century of U.S.-Bulgarian friendship. The Roman philosopher and statesman Seneca said that one of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. That expresses very well an important goal of partnership and of diplomacy in general. We strive to understand and to be understood. But it's also true for countries to collaborate that they must have mutual interests. And for that collaboration to be sustained, they must have shared values. For the US and Bulgaria, these include a commitment to democracy, to a free market economy, and to equal rights for our citizens. We share a desire for our children to have more than their parents. We value education. We embrace modernity. We have a pride in our country's national endowments. In the case of Bulgaria, the mountains, the seaside, a history as long as that of civilization. Americans are proud of our national. Europe is the United States' most important partner. It is with Europe that we have our largest volume of trade and our biggest investments, and with whom we are partnered in the world's most important military alliance, and with whom we have a shared global perspective. I hardly need to remind this audience of the value of the transatlantic partnership, since the Atlantic Club played such an important role from the very beginning. Together, we are committed to keeping our alliance strong, to protecting Western democracies, to securing prosperity for future generations. It is these common values and common commitments that underpin the relationship between our two countries. Since arriving in Bulgaria, I have been listening to what the people of Bulgaria want from our bilateral relationship in order to make our joint work responsive to joint needs. As I have met Bulgarian citizens in Sofia and outside the capital, they have shared with me things they are proud of about Bulgaria, and in moments of candor, things that they would like to change, so that their children and grandchildren can inherit a more prosperous, more secure country with strong democratic institutions. One of the messages that I hear repeatedly is that they would like more U.S. business cooperation and more collaboration. And we too would like to make that happen. Bulgaria is 6 years into European Union membership, has been a member of the NATO alliance for 9, and is on the path toward evolution into a mature European democracy. We envisage the role of the United States to be one of a supportive partner who helps Bulgarians to achieve your own aspirations. I'd like to talk a little bit first about security cooperation. The Atlantic Alliance, once limited to the transatlantic space, has stepped up to meeting global challenges to the security of its members. Bulgaria has played a part in the alliance's activities in Libya, in fighting piracy. We have worked together in Afghanistan, and after 11 years, we're beginning to wind down our commitment there. But the job is not done, and we need to take care that the investment we made endures into the future. Working together as allies certainly bolsters our collective security, but it also has other benefits. It creates a lasting bond between Bulgarian and US soldiers and interoperability between our two militaries. This has been vital in the Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya conflicts, and will also benefit any future NATO operations. I had the opportunity in November to observe the certification of the 1st Bulgarian Battalion Battle Group, and it was quite impressive. As your military works to stand up additional units, the United States will continue to be there to support the realization of your own plan for military modernization. Coping with the challenge posed by international terrorism is another shared commitment. Recent events in Algeria, which involved hostages from 8 different countries, taken by militants of at least 4 different nationalities, claiming to protest events in a neighboring African country, demonstrate the global nature of the threat and the need for collaboration amongst like-minded states like ourselves in countering it. The bombing in Burgas was another crime in which innocent people from another country were attacked here in Bulgaria. We are impressed by the professionalism and determination with which Bulgarian security experts have approached the investigation, and we await the results. Another very important facet of our partnership is collaboration in the field of energy. Assured energy supplies have been the necessary underpinning of mankind's prosperity since ancient times, but more intensively so since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution and continuing to today. Disruptions of supply, unexpected price increases, or other events that limit the energy available for heat, for transportation, and every sort of economic activity can have serious consequences that affect all of our economies. That's why it's only prudent to seek diverse and reliable sources of energy. This is an area in which partnerships, for example, the various possibilities for the development of a southern corridor for the transport of natural gas, hold the possibility of bringing new supplies over new routes to much of Europe. This is also an area in which a strong partnership between Bulgarian and American firms are paying some real dividends. For example, thanks to Westinghouse, the information and control systems at the Kozloduy nuclear power plant are state-of-the-art and continue to provide Bulgaria with safe, affordable energy. Westinghouse continues to help Bulgaria explore options for expanding nuclear potential, for example, by doing a feasibility study for the proposed 7th reactor at Kozloduy. The same can be said of the AES and Contour Global clean coal plants at Marsi Rийs, which together account for over 11% of Bulgaria's installed capacity for electricity generation. The owners of Marsi Rийs 1 and Marsi Rийs 3 invested hundreds of millions of dollars to ensure that these facilities meet the highest European standards for low emissions. Many residents of Star Zagora remember the days when pollution was visible and led to disease and reduced lifespan for the residents. Thanks to the new equipment installed at Marsi Rийs 1 and 3, these days are over. The American companies supply some of Bulgaria's cleanest energy. Together they employ over 1,000 people directly and have a multiplier effect, creating over 10,000 jobs, most of which are in a part of Bulgaria that has an employment rate that is above the national average. As we look to the future, we see the potential for the United States to become a net exporter of natural gas. And I have to add that electricity prices for American consumers have dropped in the past year due to abundant natural gas from shale. In Texas, for example, consumers saw their electricity bills drop by 40% over the year between 2011 and 2012. It's up to Bulgaria to decide whether or not to develop shale gas, but if Bulgaria decides to develop its own significant potential shale gas reserves, the United States is ready to assist with the regulatory and technological know-how. Economic integration, promoting business, trade and investment, is another area we would really like to see grow in the coming years. Our economies, indeed the whole transatlantic economic space, have faced some very serious challenges since 2009. There is no doubt. The signs are that we're beginning to return to a period of expanding economic activity, employment, and growth. To take advantage of this improvement, but also to support it, it makes sense to look for ways to promote bilateral trade and investment. Increased economic cooperation can bring needed capital for investment, jobs for local communities here, as well as new ideas, modern technologies. To give a concrete example, HP, IBM, New Boyana Films, and Johnson Controls alone employ close to 10,000 university graduates here in Sofia. They are here because the companies believe in the talent that exists in Bulgaria's workforce, and they believe in the country's future. The jobs they provide offer terrific opportunities for young Bulgarians to work here in Bulgaria in innovative fields, like, for example, computer-generated imagery, where they make the effects that contribute excitement and visual drama to blockbuster movies. They provide IT crisis management for major corporations around the globe, and they contribute to the development of new software and electronics for the vehicles of tomorrow. These companies and others in the innovative sectors form the cornerstone of a technology cluster in Bulgaria that can grow and flourish if it is nurtured through partnership and cooperation. American and other international investors are stakeholders in this country's future, and they have much to offer in terms of technology and resources. It is my hope that in the coming years we're going to see more American companies taking advantage of Bulgaria's affinity and desire, especially for high-tech jobs. Beyond the pure economic impact of American investment is the social impact. American companies have a strong culture of corporate social responsibility, and they bring this corporate value with them when they go abroad and create lasting and meaningful change in the communities they support. Here in Bulgaria, these companies have banded together to create programs such as the American Chamber of Commerce Volunteer Days, when employees go out and work on projects around the country. Going forward, I hope to see many more American companies attracted to Bulgaria by its highly skilled workforce and the beneficial tax conditions. For companies to come here and thrive, though, we really all need to work together to promote an atmosphere of openness, predictability, and partnership in which business truly has a voice in the country's economic vision. There are ample opportunities for U.S. investors and exporters to expand in Bulgaria, but part of growing foreign investment will be taking steps to ensure that Bulgaria continues to be seen as an attractive location where rules are consistent and consistently enforced. Trade between our two countries amounted to $643.3 million in 2011 and could expand even more with the introduction of better intellectual property rights protection, including of copyrights. Now, I know that my saying this will not be popular with some, but it's just a fact of economic life. One last point on economic cooperation, and that is the current discussion of a U.S.-European free trade agreement. As the U.S. Special Trade Representative said this week, President Obama is committed to reaching an agreement to smooth trade with the European Union, though all acknowledge that there are going to be some tough hurdles to overcome. I'd like to speak now on skimming and other economic crimes as priority areas for law enforcement cooperation. Collaboration between our respective law enforcement services is excellent in these areas and is producing concrete results in both our countries. This, in turn, has persuaded the U.S. government to significantly increase our resources for joint law enforcement activities here in Bulgaria. Fighting crime, though, is a lot more than policing. It requires an able and efficient prosecution service, as well as a determined and impartial judiciary. Recent events have demonstrated that there is considerable interest in Bulgaria in having a prosecution service and a national judiciary that can truly uphold the rule of law. And there has been progress in that regard. The selection of the Supreme Judicial Council, as well as the Prosecutor General, involved a serious examination of the credentials of candidates and were conducted in a more transparent manner than before, although there is still room for improvement. But most important will be whether those selected will institute needed reforms. There's a lot of work to be done. The U.S. is committed to assisting Bulgarian efforts to reform the legal system so that the process of administering justice can be efficient and effective, but ours is a supporting role. The impetus and the energy has to come from Bulgarians. Going forward, we plan to continue our engagement on strengthening the rule of law. We are bringing prosecutors and judges to consult with counterparts and to share experiences. In the past year, members of the Specialized Court for Organized Crime and the Ministry of Justice traveled to the United States for a week of consultations with their counterparts in our federal criminal justice system. We have identified subject matter experts who have come to Bulgaria to assist the Ministry of Justice as it drafts new legislation. We are training law enforcement officials at the FBI Academy, as well as through the International Law Enforcement Academy, or ILEA, in Budapest. And both our FBI and Drug Enforcement Administration have sent agents who work side by side with Bulgarian counterparts. But of course, the key ingredient for success here is going to be your determination, the commitment of Bulgarian officials and of civil society to make needed reforms. There's no doubt that a key factor in the effective functioning of a healthy democracy is the strength of civil society, especially NGOs. At the onset of Bulgaria's transformation, civil society was virtually non-existent. We're proud of having helped to develop organizations that work in such diverse areas as protecting the environment, developing a market economy, protecting human rights, and safeguarding the rights of workers. Today, Bulgaria's NGOs are many, active, and influential. One good example is the forum in which we find ourselves today. From its founding in 1991, the Atlantic Club has promoted the transatlantic relationship and now goes way beyond its original purpose. It's now fostering education and discussions not just about security issues, but about a whole range of topics affecting the region and beyond. In the final analysis, our strong bilateral relationship is about much more than any single institution, business deal, or any negotiation between our two governments. Our most important ties extend well beyond the walls of my embassy and your foreign ministry. They are the people-to-people connections that give our relationship its depth, its warmth, and certainly that will sustain it into the future. To date, the U.S. government has brought more than 2,000 Bulgarians from all walks of life to the United States to participate in a wide range of exchange and visitor programs. These include everything from the Fulbright program, in which scholars and students study and conduct research in the United States, to the Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange, which is a year-long program for high school students. I can say that the list of prominent alumni of these programs reads like a who's who list of notable Bulgarians who have contributed much to the growth and the development of this country, and we're proud of that. We invest significant resources in these programs because both sides benefit from Bulgarian professionals and leaders from all walks of life engaging with our professionals and leaders. Every Bulgarian who participates is an ambassador of Bulgaria to the United States, and enriches our understanding of your country in a way that no diplomatic message ever could. The same is also true of programs that bring Americans to Bulgaria. I want to mention our summer work travel program, which is also thriving, with over 7,000 participants in 2012 alone. I would like to see this program continue to grow so that it can remain a key tool for facilitating the exchange of ideas between us. I am committed to increasing the number of exchanges in both directions. To that end, the Embassy and the American Chamber of Commerce will organize Discover US, an exhibition promoting study and travel in the United States on March 7th at NDK. This will be a great opportunity to learn a lot more about what the United States has to offer. I think the better Americans know Bulgaria and Bulgarians know the US, the more productive can be our partnerships at every level. I want us to reach out and connect with all Bulgarians, regardless of class or religion or sexual orientation or ethnicity. The direct exchange of ideas, of information, skills, and best practices is essential to bringing nations closer together. It is also essential to fostering the deep ties and the trust that is necessary for politicians and diplomats to address together difficult political and economic challenges. Ultimately, the future of the US-Bulgaria partnership will depend on our citizens. Our official programs and partnerships can lay the framework for cooperation, but it is the networks that develop and the actions of individuals that make these things a reality. As American anthropologist Margaret Mead famously said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." I'm optimistic about Bulgaria's future and convinced that our partnership is well worth the work that both sides have put into it and will put into it. And as I said when I began, we are allies and transatlantic partners. But our most important ties are our commitment to democracy and fundamental freedoms and to creating a better future for coming generations. These are the fundamental reasons why we value our partnership with Bulgaria and why we want to make this partnership even stronger in the coming months and years. Thank you very much.
Вашите физиономии, тъй като лампите ми светят в очите, но ръцете ви ще виждам.
Ваше превъзходителство, благодаря за интересната лекция. Казвам се Ангел Апостолов от Софийският университет Свети Климент Охридски, специалност международна сигурност. Вие бяхте така добра да очертаете основните принципи на сътрудничество между нашите две страни от гледна точка на външна политика и международна сигурност. От гледна точка на приключването на операция ISAF в Афганистан на следващата година, бих искал да ви задам два кратки въпроса. Единия, смятате ли, че България можеше да направи по-голям принос към съвместната операция в тази страна? И вторият ми въпрос, как виждате сътрудничеството между нашите две страни в бъдеще от гледна точка на военна стратегия, сигурност и мироопазващи операции? Благодаря ви.
Well, thank you very much for the question. I am very pleased that we have some university students in the audience. On the contribution that Bulgaria